Creve Coeur District 76 Board of Education meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Higgins.
Here.
Gable. Here. Catherine Reagan. Valerie Reagan. Here. Tyler. Here. Reiner. Here. Dave.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission. It is the mission of Creve Coeur School District 76 in partnership with Home and Community for all students to obtain the necessary knowledge, skills, and self-motivation to become lifelong learners, social responsible citizens, and active participants in their ever-changing world. Vision. In keeping with the mission statement, Creve Coeur School District 76 will provide students with access to the current curriculum and the tools necessary to enable them to become competent lifelong learners.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. Are there any comments from the audience on action items on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to action items. We need a motion for the second reading of policies. Please, Mr. Giddens.
Make the motion to approve the second reading and adoption of policy revisions 2:140 communications to and from the board, 4:10 fiscal and business management, 4:45 insufficient fund checks and debt recovery, 4:80 accounting and audits, 4:110 transportation, 4:120 food services, 4:130 free and reduced price food services, 4:150 facility management and building programs, 5:10 equal employment opportunity minority recruitment, 5:130 responsibilities concerning internal information, 5:185 family and medical leave, 5:220 substitute teachers, 5:250 leaves of absence, 6:20 school year calendar and days, 6:60 curriculum content, 6:340 student testing and assessment programs, and 8:20 community use of school facilities.
A second.
Any questions? Yep, Mr. Reagan.
Sorry, I have several. First of all, under 4.150, facilities management and building programs, it says that the superintendent shall manage the district facility and grounds as well as facility construction and basically do a walkthrough and so forth. But it doesn't say how often. And I know that we've always, with Shane, a lot of times we're just like, no, remember we're supposed to do an annual walkthrough. So should it say how often? Because it could be every 5 years. It doesn't say how often a person should do this. So do we want a time frame on here?
Mr. Giddens, comments?
Do we want to go annually with the walkthrough? I mean, what do we want?
We sure don't want our buildings falling apart.
So you want semi-annual? I mean, I know we've been down the whole line several times this year, but
Right.
I do think we should expect.
I mean, that's up to the board when they do the walkthroughs. That's not
Okay.
policy. But no, I see what you're saying. Because what happened to Homewood didn't happen in 1 year.
No.
It's over a period of years. Thoughts?
I'm fine with adding a time frame yearly.
Annually?
Annual,
So all buildings?
where was that at in here?
It just said right here at the top that he'll do a walk. I mean, with the superintendent designee shall facilitate with an inspection of schools with regional superintendent and fire marshal. I mean, it doesn't have to do with regional superintendent, fire marshal.
Yes,
Okay, so maybe we just put in there annually. So it has been done annually anyway?
that is done annually.
Okay,
That's a requirement under
Fire
the,
code, right?
it is a part of the fire code, but also the regional superintendent life safety walkthroughs. They are annual, they're done annually.
But that doesn't necessarily mean getting up on the roof, right? I mean, when the ROE comes in, they look for safety issues
Not
throughout
building
the
inspection.
school, not building inspections, apparently.
So should it be a separate paragraph or separate sentence, the superintendent shall?
How about the
At a
second,
different section?
how about the second line, second paragraph?
The superintendent shall provide, yeah.
The board with periodic reports, annual reports?
I would say periodic reports and still do a walkthrough. You can do a report without.
Well, the thing is, the superintendent really isn't really qualified to do it.
If he's not doing building inspection, you can see if there's a roof leak.
You're saying do like what we did in the spring?
Right, just,
This is,
no, right.
is that the board to do that annually?
Then that's up to your board to do it. You
Right,
don't
that's
have
up to
policy
the
on
board.
it.
Say again?
I said you don't have policy on it, that's up to your board to do it.
Right. I think it's a good idea, even though it's
I
not.
do too. But what we're discussing now is if you want annually in this policy for the superintendent to have to, I guess, inspect.
Or monitor any,
I think maybe it should be part
Assess.
of what the board does.
well, they can do it separately from us. They could go assess the buildings. Maybe not inspect, we could say assess.
Right. I am with Mrs. Cagle, you know, not every superintendent is a building inspector, nor
Right.
should they be, that's
Neither
not.
is a board member.
Neither is a board
Right.
member, you know, but yeah, you can at least walk through it.
Yes. Change set of eyes when we walk through, so.
That's true. So what's your suggestion? Or would you like to put it?
I could put
Annual
second paragraph, like you said, the superintendent, or designee shall provide the board, superintendent or designee shall assess all buildings annually and provide the board with periodic reports.
Seems like that's encompassed in the third paragraph.
I can see where it says a time frame.
On an annual basis, the superintendent or designee shall provide the board with projected facility needs. That implies that someone has went and looked at it, whether it's the superintendent or the building principal.
I still think they want to put it, the superintendent will assess it. I mean, it makes it clear that it's supposed to be looked at.
Not implied. Superintendent shall assess annually. And provide, okay. I'm sure Ms. Walton got it. Any other questions on this one? Next, Mrs. Reagan.
5220, substitute teachers. It says the superintendent may employ substitute teachers as necessary to replace teachers who are temporarily absent. I know before some board members have stated that they want a list of substitute teachers in our building annually. Do we put that in here? So we know who's in our building? Yearly, annually, I don't know, I don't care. I just thought that way would stop some of the
And provide,
list of substitute teachers annually, I don't know, at the beginning of the school year, I don't know, I want it.
I think they usually know who our substitute teachers are, because we've been having such a shortage.
right. It's a nice heads up. That's usually when we raise the salary, when we realize that the list
There's
is
only
only.
3 on the list.
Yeah, there's only 3 on the list.
Hasn't that
but
been
we
an
do.
issue, is that
Yes, he
we really
can,
haven't had?
and he's tried everything to get substitutes. He's raised it, okay, suggested other things.
Okay.
And
Comments?
is it in there, that is not, I just,
Thoughts? What do you want to do? You want to report yearly?
Sure.
something else I got
That's a
up
good
there.
idea.
Okay.
That gives us an idea of how many we have.
All right. So you would like that to read how, Mrs. Reagan?
After second sentence, the superintendent shall provide a substitute teachers list to the board to be approved annually. I don't care if it's done.
You want to approve it or just have a list?
That's I just want the list,
Because you already approved them when
When
you're
they got
hiring
hired.
them.
yeah.
So you just want a list as an FYI.
Yes,
Okay.
who's there? And annually, do you want spring, fall, guys, what do you want? When school starts, that way you can raise the wages if you need
In the
to.
fall. Okay, do you want to read it after the first sentence? Do you want it to say what?
The superintendent shall provide the Board of Education with the substitute teachers list in the fall, annually in the fall. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. A suggestion, grab these at the first reading next
I
time.
was here,
I know, that's true, you weren't.
I'm sorry.
Actually, do you want that to be fall, or do you want to put a specific one?
I have my fall. Do we care?
All right,
In the fall?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Because what happens if we don't do it in October because the meeting's canceled or something?
okay. All right, is the full board good with that? All right,
Okay,
Next.
I just have one more.
okay.
Okay, in 8.2, it talks about community relations and community uses of school facilities. It talks about a fee, let's see, a fee schedule and other terms shall be, no, the superintendent. Okay, fees and costs shall apply during non-regular staff hours and to other organization granted use of facilities at any time. A fee schedule and other terms. Okay, say right here, sorry. I have a circle. About nonprofit organization grant use of school facilities at no cost during regular staff hours. Do we really want to put that in there? The only thing I'm saying is because what if someone really wants to use it and they want to set up something in the gym, we'll allow them during the regular staff hours, but if we have to maybe have another janitor in to really clean it up. I mean,
The use of school facilities for school purposes has precedence over all other uses.
exactly, but I thought maybe, I don't know, if the church wanted to use it for a play and invite the community in, and though we have a janitor in second shift, it's regular staff hours.
Mhm.
But maybe there's two janitors to clean it all up. One janitor can't clean it up after.
Okay, doesn't that have to come before the superintendent before they're allowed to use it?
Yes.
But you have in your policy no cost. So what if he says yes because he's being very nice and wants to promote a good relationship? And it costs us an extra janitor to come and clean it up.
That's why it's during regularly staffed hours.
But we have a janitor staff, but I don't know if janitors can
Right.
still clean up everything extra during that time frame.
Well, maybe that just.
I'm just saying, but your policy says no cost if it's regular staffed hours. So then you can't turn around and say, I want to charge you because we had to have two janitors clean it up, because one janitor can do it.
I see what she's saying, we've been through this different times, different years,
Right.
and we've always charged a fee or something like that.
I mean, I think if they want to come in and play basketball and do things that's not, but I mean, really, what if someone wants to have a huge, like, party, ice cream social?
We don't have to allow them to.
To my knowledge,
don't
the
want to
ones that
not
have used the
allow them.
buildings for free has been the village, to my knowledge.
We've let churches use it for basketball practice.
I mean, do we not have any guidelines for the use, like,
This is your policy.
we don't give them something like,
No, but
you're
there's
not
an-
allowed to do this.
There
you're
is
not
an
allowed
AP that follows this.
Right, and your superintendent's really good about, she's finding out that,
I think the AP would probably tell him what he can and can't do as far as following this policy. I don't know about charging. It's up to you guys.
I mean, maybe we don't care if it occurs in other janitors, $140 for good relationships, we might
And maybe that's right,
eat it.
to strengthen those relationships within the community.
Right, that's what I mean, so I mean, I'm fine, I just want to do that.
Just wanted to bring it up to us.
Says no cost.
What's the consensus? Do you want to change or leave it alone?
I would leave it.
Okay.
And that gives the superintendent the opportunity to tell, if it is gonna be a big event, then he can say, okay, you're gonna clean up most of it, and leave it to the January. You know, we negotiate with him at that point to make it free.
If it don't work out, we change it.
That's
I don't
true.
think it's been an issue lately.
All right. Leave it? Okay. All right. What's next?
That's it, that's all I have.
Okay. With those changes, we need to amend that motion to approve the second reading with the revisions? Yes, okay.
Yes.
And the second would be yes? Okay, roll call quickly, please.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Yes. Valerie Reagan. Aye. Tyler. Aye. Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the administrative procedures, please, and exhibits.
I make the motion to approve the administrative procedures and exhibits. 4:2, correction, 4:120-AP, administrative procedures, food service, competitive foods, semicolon exemptions. 5:30-AP1, administrative procedures, interview questions. 5:185-AP, administrative procedures, resource guides for family and medical leave. 6:60-AP, administrative procedures, comprehensive health education programs. And 2:140-E, it's the exhibit, guidance for board members' communications, including email use. And then 2:250, exhibit 2, immediately available district public records and web posted reports and records.
Any questions? Comments? Please?
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Valerie Reagan. Aye. Tyler. Aye. Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion for the minutes, please.
Make a motion regarding make a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting dated December 15, 2015. Sorry about that, guys.
Any questions, comments on the minutes? Roll call, please.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Valerie Reagan. Aye. Tyler. Aye. Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the payments list.
I'll make the motion to approve the payments list dated January 21, 2016.
Second.
Questions? Comments? I had several. Mr. Aldridge responded. Did everybody get a chance to read those?
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions? Roll call, please.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle.
Aye.
Valerie Reagan. Aye. Tyler. Aye. Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Motion carried. Need a motion regarding the treasurer's report, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the treasurer's report dated November 30th, 2015.
Second.
Questions? Comments? You also read Mr. Aldridge's response
Yes.
on why we're behind. And so when we did the revised budget, that will take care of the site and instruction fund. Okay. Roll call, please. Mhm.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Valerie Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler. Aye. Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the activity fund reports.
I'll make the motion to approve the November and December LaSalle School Activity Fund reports.
Second.
Comments? Questions? Roll call?
Giddens.
Aye.
Cable. Val Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the November, December park view.
Make a motion to approve the November and December Parkview School Activity Fund reports.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cable.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the budget.
I'll make the motion to authorize the superintendent and bookkeeper to begin preparations of the tentative budget fiscal year 2017.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? I actually had my paper out last night, Mr. Giddens, going through it. Mechanics of the school budget,
Oh,
finding where it said that. All right, roll call please.
Giddens.
aye.
Cable. Aye. Val Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, we need a motion regarding the 8th grade field trip.
Make the motion to approve the 8th grade class field trip to Six Flags in St. Louis, Missouri. Do you want to put the May 13th as a date down, or just,
Up to you.
well, no, just because I have the rain date.
Okay,
Second.
all right, questions? Comments?
I ask it every year.
Go ahead.
How many chaperones are we going to take?
I believe Six Flags requires a 1-to-10 ratio, so that'll be approximately 6. And we'll make sure that we select teachers for whom that's a strength.
Good.
And the principal will also be going?
If that's needed, 2 weeks before the end of the school year, I'll go wherever I'm needed. If I'm needed at St. Louis, I'll go there. If I need it back at the building, that's where I'll go, so.
Normally the principal goes.
I would like to take some money out of our activity fund to secure matching shirts for all the students so that they're more readily identifiable when they're on grounds. $5 a shirt.
Does the PACE provide that? Haven't they done?
We
I
used
don't
to.
know. I don't
No,
think
hasn't
so.
been done in years,
I don't
so.
think so,
Okay.
no, you're absolutely right.
I thought it'd be fun to have like the class of 16 with 16 on the back and have all the students sign within the 16 and make it something fun, and that way it's easier for me to count heads.
Other schools did that and it was nice.
It's in and out.
You lose a
Yeah,
student.
they
Mhm.
do stand out.
Misplace them.
Misplace
In
them.
in a shop or something on the grounds.
Just a little tidbit, if you ride the train, you can see every child at one time or another.
I don't have to get off, I can just grab a Coke and just keep riding.
You just grab the train, yes. Little tidbit. All right, any other questions? And we are doing a fundraiser, or, I mean, the kids are selling to be able to,
We're selling candy bars, but I told Amber to hold off sending that letter home until after tonight's board meeting. It's typed and prepared and I'll go home tomorrow
okay, but a way for them to provide the money.
to provide the money.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, roll call please.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cable.
You sure you don't
Val
want to-
Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Sure.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried.
Mr. Aldridge just wanted to start us on the
I think you did.
Yes, I think it's great.
All right, do we want to move the next one until after executive session, or?
Yes, I'd like to move it into
Sounds like,
executive
oh,
session.
what, 3,
Because
4
it's not
minutes,
a
really?
board
Okay, I should
I
have asked at
always
the beginning of the
remember
meeting, but I
those
didn't
things.
realize it was first. With the consensus of the board, we will move this down to after executive session.
I think I'll ask Shane for direction.
All right, yes, all right. Informational items. Any written communications?
No.
Reminder of upcoming events. I want to thank everyone that was here Saturday, and we spent Saturday together. I think it was very informative. All right, Wednesday, February 3rd, reminder that we meet with IASB representatives. Wednesday, March 2nd, is the IASB spring meeting in Washington. Do we know yet who's planning on going? I know it's a month out, but, okay, let's get with Stephanie and I'll remind you next meeting. If you would like to go, please call her. Do we have a date on there? An ending date or,
It's usually 48 hours before the
or we could call that, right? Okay.
What was on the agenda? I don't remember.
Breakout session.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounded
community
good,
engagement
actually.
and
Just-
discipline.
Oh, trends in the schoolyard, legal update for students, because they're talking about that new policy that came down.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I will remind everyone next meeting, and we'll get, if you want reservations made, we'll get Mrs. Walton before then or shortly after. All right, are there any presentations or suggestions by board members? All right. Reports from the principals. Who wants to go first? Mr. McCormick. All right.
Couple things to tell you about. Actually, I missed you guys last month in December because I was at the second of our winter concerts. They were very successful, had a lot of positive comments, and the light show had a new dimension to things. You guys got to see a preview of that.
Nice.
But it was
Yeah.
it was neat with all of them in the gym doing that. Some things going on in the building. Amarin was here earlier this month, did a presentation for our fourth graders on safeties. Second year they've done it since I've been there. And they do electrical safety and just home safety regarding the things that they do, gas safety, electric safety. And it's a neat presentation, it's kind of interactive, you get a chance to see some things. Last night we hosted the Red Cross blood drive as well as village meeting. So we had people at both. It was a busy place. And we are slowly recovering from our flooded office situation, juggling people and meetings and whatnot. Just the loss of 2 offices is kind of bad. We have kind of displaced everybody for the time that it takes to get that remedied. Coming up, we've got a K2 kindergarten through 2nd grade reading night on Thursday night. And we follow that up the following week on the 9th with our 3rd and 4th grade math night. Next Tuesday is Muffins for Mom. That's in the morning at 7. The following week, which would be on the 9th, we're doing donuts for Dad on Tuesday. And just as a heads up, Chili Supper is February 19th, and lots of plans going on for that behind the scenes.
You're gonna stay busy, aren't you?
Busy month. Any questions from you?
Muffins for Mom and donuts for Dad. Is there a charge or?
Nope.
District is taking care of that?
Ms. Walt said she wanted to pay for it, so.
Okay, good enough. All right, glad to hear that. Thank you.
Welcome.
You must be next.
I'm next. We had our spaghetti dinner last week and it was really successful, along with 50-50 raffle. Breakfast Buddies was the week before that and it too was successful. We will be doing another spaghetti dinner on February the 9th. And it is not in conjunction with the 8th grade honors night. And the reason for that, we tried to do that with volleyball just as we did with basketball, but it was going to butt it up right up against the chili supper. And we didn't want to ask people to be out twice in 1 week for something like that. So we shifted it to another date. And we'll be playing St. Pat's that day out of Washington. And they're doing a great job of promoting it with their families. So we expect a really big turnout. So that's really nice. Volleyball season is in full swing along with Scholastic Bowl and math counts. 7th grade boys basketball is done. 8th grade boys basketball, their regional is this Saturday. Candy bar sales will now officially start for the Six Flags trip. We will have our representative at Parkview on February the 10th, so we'll order the candy the week prior. Letters will go home tomorrow where kids can say, yes, I'm selling candy, and my parents are paying the $75 fee, whichever it happens to be. And there's a whole set of parameters, including student behavior and discipline, that go in conjunction with that. Again, the chili supper is the 19th, and we have an additional basket this year. The administration staff and office staff are getting together and creating a new basket, and
Great.
the theme is chocolate.
Just like.
It'll have chocolate covered apples from Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory and a couple other things, and it's a competition, folks. We intend on winning and the best basket. It's on. Let's see, map testing is done at Parkview. They're having data meetings with all the teachers this week, and I'll be meeting with our interventionists on Thursday to go over the data myself to get an idea of how well the students have done, but all early results are pointing to great improvement. I know for a fact that Mrs. Boyle's class had 95% of her students saw improvement. Range of improvement depending on where they started initially. That's looking good. Tomorrow, some teachers and I will be meeting to schedule park testing. We're going to be using the Chromebooks this year. And last year they just did Chromebooks in 7th and 8th grade, so that's going to require a shift, introducing 5th and 6th grade, how many Chromebooks and how we can allocate that time. So we'll be meeting together to put together a schedule. Our school improvement day, Mr. Aldridge has been kind enough to allow the principals to have some flexibility in meeting our building needs on February the 5th. Parkview is going to be doing a framework for understanding poverty. It's been several years since they've done that. And that deals with understanding poverty in schools and the impact it has on schools and how we educate students in a different way. So this will be the groundwork for that. And then we're also going to take a look at our greatest strengths, our greatest challenges as well. And we can get that information.
Any questions? I do have one comment real quick. Your discipline letters, I appreciate those very much.
Oh.
It gives us a little bit more knowledge about, you know, what the child's doing, what you're dealing with, and the punishment. So I just wanted to tell you I appreciate that.
Could you repeat that night, the honors night?
The honors night, oh, the
Honors program. Is that where you're gonna have the kids come in? It's kind of early in the year.
for honors, you mean?
Student honors.
No, that'll be.
That's later in the year.
That's later in the
Okay.
year, yeah.
I was gonna
No.
say, it seemed early.
That should be about May-ish.
That should be about
Okay.
May-ish. We do have, the talent show will be in April, and March they'll start having the tryouts, so we'll start putting that stuff out there, and it should be on the calendar.
Okay.
All right.
Busy, both schools, very busy.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Superintendent, Mr. Aldridge?
So as included in your packet, we have 2 FOIA requests this month. One from the Illinois Federation of Teachers, the teachers union that does not represent our certified staff or support staff. They requested all of our certified staff health insurance cost plan benefits and summaries. I'm not quite sure what all of that's about. It just seems kind of coincidental that we're doing a lot of things with our health insurance, and this FOIA comes up from this union. I'm sorry, we have three requests. The second was from a research firm asking about our gifted and talented programs. That was an easy one to respond to since we really don't have any type of gifted or talented programs as were defined in the request. The third request was a commercial requester asking for documents regarding our insurances, including liability, property casualty, and our health insurance. So all of those were responded to within the deadlines and timelines of the law. So we're taking care of. Homewood. Attached in your packet is the architect's letter regarding homewood options. This is what we asked Mr. Wachweidel to provide to the board, and he did. I'm trying to find it. G5. He gave when he wanted me to caution the board as to estimates. That's exactly what these are estimates. These are not bid specifications. These are just his round figures, so to speak. But you can see that the roof replacements are the biggest costs. For the gymnasium alone, it's $101,000. $28,000 for the east classrooms, about $70,000 for the center, and the shingled northeast roof was about $2,500. The issue is that the shingled northeast roof is beginning to leak further, so that may be something that we have to address sooner rather than later. We're still looking at trying to find the actual location of the leaks from that one. Door replacements to the outside, existing doors and the frames, $18,000 there. Removal of all of the asbestos-containing materials and floor tiles. This is the gymnasium. Anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 for that. This was rather surprising to me. The masonry on the north wall repair, where the cracks are in the gym wall that are buckling, wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's still kind of bad. Masonry repair for the inside, the exterior is about $5,000, the interior about $2,500, about $13,000 to repaint, but the cladding of the gym walls to add insulation and an air barrier, which will be more sound way to address the issues, but that comes at a cost at $113,000 for brick veneer and metal panels at about $57,000, $56,000.
That's on top of that 112?
No, you would do either one, A or B. Gives brick veneer, brick with veneer, or cladding of gymnasium walls.
And we have to do one or the other.
You need to do one or the other. But it's masonry, the masonry costs plus one or the other. And, the
Wow,
brick,
you might say 56,000.
the brick veneer, yeah.
All right.
Tore down the gym.
There's no heat exchange, there's no fresh air exchange in the gym, that's why we got mold. So some kind of a diffuser and system to do air exchange is gonna be necessary, otherwise you're gonna have mold again. Because those cinder block walls they just absorb moisture. So air exchange and all of that for ventilation at about $46,000. Main office ceiling leaks at the heads of the windows, we talked about that, no real cost there. Existing covered porch and wood soffits at the gym and the office, about $25,000 to replace those, and those are falling apart to the point where I'm worried that pieces of it are gonna start falling off and hitting people. Not only that, I'm really surprised that the kids haven't looked up to see that if they jump, they can pull that stuff down. So it needs to be addressed immediately. So, or the other option was a complete demolition of the gym and infill the wall to the remaining opening, and that would be an estimate of about $203,000. So those were the options.
But then you still have all the other issues.
There's still roof issues, yes, all the other parts,
All the other.
that's just taking care of the gym, yeah. Which is the biggest part of the roof and the metal cladding and the ventilation, takes care of all of that, but it doesn't take care of the center roof, the office roof, and the shingle roof. Right.
What about, the porch, yeah.
Yeah, it's existing covered porch, about $25,000, right?
Probably.
More.
Wow.
You got asbestos abatement for
Right. Yeah, the big.
the whole building.
So I'm looking at roughly 500,000 to fix it, or 203,000 to tear the gym down, and then you have to put the money back in the rest of it,
Yeah, it's another 100,000.
at least.
And if we sell it, it's not gonna sell. Yeah.
Well, if you sell it for $1,
Who buy it?
city. Sorry.
Still gotta abate it.
They didn't.
Not if it's,
Sacre
No.
Coeur wasn't abated.
Soccer
As
Coeur wasn't
is, you
abated.
don't have-
That's right, you don't have
Well, that's my understanding, we had to abate it as a summer.
to. No, it comes to
You
tell
have
them.
Years ago,
government
that's what I was told
agency
years
to
ago.
government agency.
Yeah,
Something
yeah, I
there.
think there's something there, as long as you're both government, you can do
Okay.
that. If you went
So
outside
how
and,
did Pekin High School get by with some, well, even high school,
you're
too.
right, they
They got in
did.
trouble,
Did it get in high school? I
somebody
thought,
got in trouble.
I thought they told them it had to be abated, they knew up front.
I got a question for you, okay.
No, they don't
And
have
two of you
one.
did it, no, two of you did it, you voted for it, a long time ago. What's it cost to build a classroom?
A lot more than that.
It does cost a lot of money, but it's new.
Yeah, it's a new classroom, 20 years ago, it was about $200,000 a classroom, what I remember. And I'm looking, I mean, we've been through this at Homewood Heights years ago. I remember when we were down to using 2 classrooms for kindergarten downstairs. And I went to, I think, 4 classrooms, and all of a sudden it exploded. This weekend, we talked about how much classroom space we got in the district. So you're gonna spend over $200,000 to add a classroom. If you start adding more classrooms, then you need restrooms. And, you know, all of this comes back and gets you. What I'm leading up to is, to me, Homewood Heights is a safety net. We still have the options of doing whatever, future boards has the options of doing whatever they want. Not just this board, but future. If we demolish it, sell it, or anything like that, we take it away from future boards.
I don't think this is gonna be a quick decision, I think we
No,
need to
but I
give it
want you
some
to think of
thought.
that.
I personally would like to have another architect come in and give us another opinion, you know. If you're sick, you go to the doctor to get another opinion.
Mhm.
That building's sick.
It's sick, but
Close to terminal.
Well,
That's
what's sad is that you've gotten this, and then we've got LaSalle that has water issues with windows and things that still need to be repaired. You still have things that need to be taken care of at Parkview before we really need to address the very, very sick building at Homewood and spend all that money at Homewood. We've got those other better buildings that need to be taken care of.
I don't think you can forget those either.
Right.
mhm.
I think
Or
if you
they're
leave-
worse than in the same
Yeah,
situation.
until they're
Right.
So which do we take care of first? You know, do we take care of better buildings before we take care of that?
And maybe we should see if there's any grants out there that help us take care of Homewood. Because before we've gotten like big grants, like $100,000.
Mhm.
We're like,
It's too bad those maintenance grants went for the roof back then.
exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want to ignore it because that's
No,
what's
we
wrong
can't
down
put
there
it off
now.
too long.
So we need to bring everything, figure out and prioritize which. I know the windows that you're talking about is in the new section of the building, not the old section. It's the
Exactly.
new.
Right,
So-
and there's students in those buildings that they should be addressed.
Students, where the students are, you know, we got, just gotta prioritize, but I don't wanna see us give up a building and then,
Regret it later.
But
Especially if we grow, there's nowhere, I mean, we have all the classrooms full now. So if we grow, it comes to either fitting more students per classroom or finding space for them.
But if we grow, is it easier to get a grant or whatever? I mean, I don't have any idea, just to bear with me. Is it easier to get a grant to build something new, maybe, than it is to get a grant to repair an old outdated facility? I mean, I have
don't
no
know, I just don't want,
idea.
I don't either, I don't want, I'm not making any recommendations or anything like that, I just want everybody to keep that in their mind. I don't know, what did you spend for the additional LaSalle? Do you all remember the ballpark? You added, did you? I don't know, I never walked down that hallway to count how many classrooms. Did you basically replace Homewood Heights square footage wise when you extended on?
yes.
At LaSalle or at Parkview?
No,
LaSalle.
LaSalle. How much did that cost, do you remember, ballpark?
1.3 comes to mind, but that could be Parkview, I don't remember.
And, right, so this is cheaper than,
It might have been
like you
Parkview.
said, it's cheaper than building on.
Hanging on.
It is, and I don't
That
think,
was 16 years ago too.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think we need to
more.
make a rash decision.
Right,
We need to, I don't know if the board agrees, another architect's opinion.
I think
Yes?
so, because
Okay.
these are only estimates, so at least let's get some more estimates.
Yeah, and that's all we
Hey.
want is an
Well, and he's
estimate.
just telling you what's wrong and about how much
Sure.
it's costing. I mean, it's not true estimates. I guess in order to really find out, we would have to get true estimates, but
And then
do
I
you wanna
would,
go that far?
Well, we gotta do something.
I mean, it doesn't.
Then you have to
Something.
engage the
You wanna get
architect in
second
getting,
opinion?
you have to engage the architect in putting together bid specifications.
Exactly.
And there's an expense for that as well.
yeah, this isn't gonna be great.
And if you roll that into the price of the construction, this will start, and it becomes part of it.
Okay.
But we're getting ready to hire a new architect, possibly a new architect. We're looking for architects right
We
now.
are,
So,
but out of that list, I'm just gonna be honest, why would we hire somebody from Springfield?
I got,
I know what I know, he got the school code, the school
try to get the area.
IASB,
They've done more than this.
right.
I understand. Try to get someone in this area.
Yeah.
We've only had one that has submitted a proposal, so I don't know how many you're gonna get.
All right, I just pulled up Google and said area architects, I got a whole list of them. I don't know
School.
one from the other. Do they have to be school?
No, it's still above it.
Okay, like Joseph Becker, they used to be a district architect. I mean, evidently Randolph is out of business, because I didn't find Randolph Associates, they were a past architect. I don't know one
You know,
from
and I
the
meant to
other.
look it up, when we were down at, in Chicago, there was an architect that was, one guy was Brandon Ray, over what he did, there's some districts. And it was DMAC. Wasn't it DMAC or something?
LZT, they helped us on the
And I
Parkview
meant to look it
edition.
up.
I know.
Is it expensive?
How about Becker? I know we had him before. No?
No,
All right,
sorry.
here's my list. Pick outside.
It's not
And
that, it's
I
just,
don't know
I
one
was
from the other.
asking around too about the
Okay.
certain ones.
But there's
See
also
if you
some
see-
certain rules when you're picking your architect, I don't remember what they were, but it's,
We're not,
you know, it's something process you gotta go through when hiring an architect, I don't know what it is now.
even to get a second opinion.
Yes, ma'am, unless it's an emergency. And that's the process that we've started. We've already
Right.
started that. We put the application, or the notifications on the website. We sent the request for proposals to those 11 architects.
Okay.
And the process has already started. Once we get the packets back in, Friday is the deadline. Then we have them for the February board meeting to review the packets, to see which of the 3 firms you want to bring in to interview. You interview at that time, you can ask all the questions you want, and then you pick one that you want to start the engagement process, which means negotiating your contingencies and your, all of the terms that go into the architect's contracts, because they're very specific, they're very detailed. If you're going to switch firms, I suggest you have Mr. Triggs or someone from his office be involved in that process, because those documents are very detailed and very specific when it comes to American Institute of Architects. Standardized forms are very, very specific and detailed. And honestly, I don't have the time to sit and pore over those documents. So once you get to the point where you're picking someone, then you need to have Mr. Triggs or his office be involved in scrubbing down that contract. Because that takes a lot of time. I've done architect searches for school districts and been involved on the back end once they pick somebody, and it takes a lot of time to go through those. Because there's a lot of detail in those kind of
Can
contracts.
we put Kenyon or whoever on the list that were,
They were one of the 11 that were notified. Yep, Larry asked me about that.
So we're just gonna wait until after that? Doesn't. And
There's
it's
a
just next
procedure we're
month.
supposed to follow.
I've been on here 20 years and we've never followed that procedure. Like, I just whipped off some names, the board never hired any of them that I was aware of
Changed and.
in midstream,
Okay.
so, not
I mean-
saying that was the right way.
Do we
I don't
have,
know.
do we have to put that word in? I don't know. I thought I read that we had to go through it.
Policy
For an
says that.
architect, it was different than ever. You're not hiring an employee, but you are, and you have a certain procedure, and he's following from what I
Yeah,
remember.
he is. I'm sure this is the right
So
way.
this
I
was the
just-
second opinion, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he's saying,
So it does
You
not have
have-
to do with
We're-
second
You
opinion.
have an engaged architect,
Uh-huh.
okay? You have somebody that you already have engaged on retainer as your school architect. To bring in someone from the outside, the only way that you can do that under the school code is if you have an emergency situation and they're not available to get to that emergency situation. Then you can bring someone else in.
You couldn't get a second opinion? I mean,
I can do whatever the
no,
board wants.
no, I'm just like,
she's asking legally.
I'm just asking,
I
legally,
would
did you
not,
not get a
I
second
don't know how many
opinion?
times,
Well, I just wondered, I'm just like, that seems,
We probably need to wait.
it seems very
Yes.
restrictive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the contract.
Well, you know what,
It's
we
school
waited this
It's
long
school
on that
code, like you
building.
said, it's
I
school
know.
code.
What's
code,
another,
but it's also
what, month?
contract, you're in contract with the guy.
That's not
Right.
that long.
So,
We
Yeah,
might as well wait.
Okay.
and it's not fair to him in front of contract.
Right.
I mean, I thought we still let him do it, we just want to see.
Well,
That's what I was
people have different
thinking.
ideas.
Yeah, that's what I was just
I
thinking.
mean, if it were your house, you're gonna call, I called more than one contractor out, call a couple, they got different ideas and
Mhm.
different costs, so.
But you don't have a contract with them yet.
That is true.
That's
Right.
true, that is true, that's true.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Aldridge.
He's thinking that's enough.
LaSalle. Well, as you know, it was damper motor that burned out and allowed the air damper to freeze open, which resulted in the coil compressor freezing, splitting, and spewing water all over the place. The two rooms were the two speech rooms, the old office, principal's office and the main office there. Those two rooms are destroyed. I don't even want to try to estimate what, how much water went through there, but there was a lot that it seeped through, and it went into the copy room, it went into the bathroom, the girls' restroom, and it eventually seeped down into the basement, which resulted in the fire alarm box shorting out, and that gave us part of the problem where we had fire alarms going off. So we have that fixed. Simplex finally came out and was able to take care of putting in new heat sensors, which was part of the problem, and they were destroyed. So there's new heat sensors now in the speech rooms, and they reset and reconfigured the downstairs box. So that's all taken care of. Buildings are secure, fobs are working, everything's back to normal as far as that's concerned. The service master, as you know, they were called out immediately to take care of the situation. And they have finished the heating and drying of the copy room, and we've moved the copy machines back in. That's back in normal operation. There's still cosmetic things that have to be taken care of. The paneling where the water came in, it worked it up, and we've got to put baseboard back down and that kind of stuff. But that's all cosmetic. In the little girl's restroom, all of that nice linoleum that looked like stone and everything, poof. It was sad. I went in there, and you walked on it and it went, the water just, just squirted out. It was really sad. So that linoleum was ruined, taken up. That gets us down to the second layer of linoleum, which is ruined as well. Underneath the second layer of linoleum are asbestos tiles.
Ah,
So, being that the water
They
has,
stayed, they didn't come out?
because the linoleum is still on top of it,
Okay.
they're in place. However, the water that's gotten in there and underneath is eventually it's deteriorating the mastic underneath that. they've already done the heating and drying. Well, heating and drying is how they take up asbestos tile. So that tile underneath the linoleum is no longer in place. The mastic is, and it's no longer gonna stay there. It has to be abated, okay? It's my hope that they can take up the linoleum and not disturb the tile, the asbestos tile, because if it becomes friable, cracking, because it's been dried out, and it starts cracking, and it becomes friable, and the little fibers go in the air, then they have to do a full containment, which is about 4 times the price. Yeah. Now, luckily, okay, the insurance company is well aware of all of these situations that kept them, you know, fully abreast of the whole thing. So, you know, they're kind of waiting until they get the final, oh my gosh, what else is wrong situation before they, you know, give us our determination letter. But it didn't, in talking to the claims, I don't know what they did, the supervisor, and not the adjuster, because he's different, but the claims supervisor, she didn't think that there was gonna be much of a problem. Okay, given that this was a, you know, this was something that was not under our control, it was never an issue before, it was, you know, the motor burned out, we got that information from DMI, the HVAC company, so it should not be a problem. Alright, so that's gonna take care of that floor. Same situation in those 2 offices, the linoleum, and there was only 1 layer of linoleum in those 2 rooms, so now we're standing on friable tile, and it is friable. Mr. McCormick and I, it is crumbled on the edges. Yeah, so it's, I can't see that it's not gonna be a containment issue, because it is crumbled. I mean, they have to put heat in there. What was it? What did it, up 92 degrees or something? I mean, it was hot. I couldn't stand it. And you walk in there, and it has to be that hot to take the moisture and draw the moisture out of the drywall. Well, that's still continuing. They don't know how long it's gonna take, so every chance I get to go over there and look in the little garbage can that they collect the water in, and yeah, they're still taking out, you know, a half a foot of water out of the walls. Well, that's because when I'm talking to the service master guy this afternoon, his technician believes that there is probably insulation batting behind the drywall, which is just like a sponge. It's just a rag.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
wiped up. I thought they had to clean it out.
Yeah. Well, they drilled holes
Oh.
and trying to dry it out from the bottom. Okay. So they had to pull some of it down because they ruined the ceiling and the lights and everything, and they had to pull some of the wall down. In doing that, we found that, and this is something I wasn't aware of, and I can't really determine on the asbestos plan that this was there, but the sheetrock behind the drywall is most likely asbestos sheetrock in that original offices. All right, now, we don't know that for true fact, okay? That's just an expert opinion. So, Service Master is going to do an air quality test to determine whether or not that sheetrock is actually asbestos. Well, it's not gonna matter, we gotta have the tile taken up anyway. So, rip down the damn walls. It doesn't matter now, you know, it's all just, it just needs to be gutted. But if it's not, it's still ruined. It's just how do we dispose of it, you know, because it's gonna need to be taken down. You should see in just above the ceiling where the pipe cracked and the water shot out of the pipe. It's got a spot about this big brown, and it looks black. And I thought that the water was so hot that it was burning the wall, but that was not the case. It was this water was so rusty. It was just brown all the way down. So that sheetrock is not going to be salvageable anyway. So it's just going to matter. You know, the real result is how do we dispose of it. So Mr. Watt-Vital is involved in this because being that there's asbestos, being that there's, that this is emergency construction, and in order to get the State Board of Education to advance us in the process of getting our construction permits, we've applied for an emergency waiver because of the asbestos, but also because of the fact that we have a bathroom that is inoperable. So I delivered those to the ROE this morning, and so as soon as we hear back from the State Board of Education that we have the waiver, then we'll move this thing forward as quick as possible. But we're at the mercy of the asbestos guys and whatever their scheduling is. So, what's that? Yeah, they have to go to the other two bathrooms, the two restrooms. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, and it is a true emergency, so I don't think the state board is going to give us any static on that. We should get the waiver and be able to go just like that.
There wasn't much ceiling tile left when I was up there. Most of it came down, but what was left, is that asbestos too?
No, it's this newer stuff. Yeah, it's the newer drop ceiling.
And it didn't go into the boys' bathroom?
Nope, it didn't go to the boys' bathroom. But there's no asbestos there, because we took that out when we did that, when we did the new construction, we took that out.
Right.
And why did they step
So, it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
With
Scenes.
Okay.
with LaSalle, all of the furnishings, all of the supplies, all the computers and printers and blah, 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 all of that's been just destroyed. We've gotten, with Mr. Wendell and taken care of ordering new technology to get that so that our people have, our two speech pathologists have computers to be able to do all of their paperwork and everything on. So moving that thing forward. We're speaking of, somebody spoke to Windows at LaSalle, the new section. Mr. McCormick has been working on getting some, just exactly what you're talking about, getting some ideas from people. So we've had a couple different window and glass companies come out and give us different ideas about how the water is getting in around those windows. They have a lot of good ideas. And they've given us some, I don't know what do you want to call them, home remedies, to kind of home checks, some things to do to check for certain things that they think might be the actual culprit of the situation. But it takes squirting water up there, and we need some warmer weather to do that. Yeah, I wasn't going to let Mr. McCormick go out there and do it. He volunteered. He was all about getting the fire department up here and squirting it down and everything, but I decided we'd just wait until it's...
They were there several times last week. We could have
Should
just
have done it there.
Or you might have icicles in the inside.
Now it would be ice, right?
Yeah, ice all down it.
So
That's a
we're
good
moving,
idea, though.
we're moving forward with that. And Mr. Watt-Vital this week provided what was needed for the elevator sump pump situation. So we'll be getting some contractor bids for taking care of that project. But again, that's excavation, so they're going to be tearing up the lawn and all that stuff, and they'll probably want to wait till warmer weather to do
Yeah,
that.
spring or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, Parkview.
Under that, you said Reacher turned up.
Uncovered some issues that needed to be addressed. Yeah, so we are contacting some repair companies to get those fixed. With bleacher companies, there are inspection companies, and then there are repair companies. Okay, so you guys already know the drill. So we're looking for some repair. We're looking for some repair companies. There are companies that come around and we have to have annual bleacher inspections because they're private, or they're publicly used facilities, and they have to be up to standards. So annually we have a bleacher inspection. Our inspection back in November showed up some issues that aren't safety issues, they're more repair and maintenance type issues that need to be addressed. That they come out funny, they don't slide back and forth correctly, where there are the wheels on tracks and some of those wheels aren't working correctly, some of them are broke, those kind of things. So it's just a matter of now getting some repair guys to come out, repair company to come out and take care of that. Mr. Nells is working on contacting area athletic directors to see who they use. So, once we have that.
It's not safety.
No, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Teachers at Parkview? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a lot, actually.
They should.
They do, they go in and out, but they don't because and it takes, and you start breaking more wheels and stuff, so they leave them out most of the time, but they need to be in so that they have the room for the PE classes, so.
Kids don't fall into the bleachers, get hurt.
It's a matter of, we need to get it taken care of, so. Alright, grants. I didn't bring I have a sheet that I'll pass out to the board, which shows the grants that have been applied for, the ones that we have received, the ones that we are still waiting on. We have an updated list, and we've received $5,000 from Lowe's for LaSalle playground improvement, $2,500 from ClassWorks for the purchase of a smart board for the RTI program, $1,000 for a classroom grant from PNC Bank, and some other ones that I saw that were in the hundreds of dollars there. So I just didn't make copies and bring it, like I thought I had, but I don't have it with me, so.
That's great for, that Lowe's doing it
Yeah.
Or that helps.
right now. Yeah.
Exactly,
Definitely.
it does,
Yeah,
so,
it does.
we are moving that forward, and I saw on the news last night that WMBD they've got a $1 million community foundation that they put together, and it's for grants for not-for-profits in schools and communities and stuff. So, I put Mr. Jokish on doing
The
that.
$2,500 classroom, is that what's,
Hmm?
is that $2,500 they give away, is that separate?
I don't know.
I think it is, it's like,
I don't know.
they have $1 million, but they give a $2,500 to each, like a nominated teacher or classroom or.
That was more information than the little bitty commercial I saw.
Oh, yeah.
So I sent it to Brad and said,
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, they'll do $2,500, is it $2,500 or maybe $700? I can't remember the amount.
Yeah.
But they give it to like you can nominate a teacher that's done wonderful things
Okay.
and why does she want grant money? And they'll come in, is it $1,000? And they'll give you the grant money.
So I just saw it on TV, and it was a little commercial blurb, and
Right.
so sent myself an email and had Brad.
Yeah, I thought one of
get
our
on it.
teachers a couple of years ago got it.
Great. It was great.
I want to say it's Mrs. Nelson, isn't it?
Well,
All right.
that's all we got.
Yeah.
Alright.
Committee reports, it looks like Skagel's gonna be making some building and grounds meetings probably here pretty soon.
Holy cow, we've got.
Good luck with that.
You think?
Holy cow.
Okay, policy. Then we hold off for,
We're gonna hold off because of what's going
okay, we need to go back and grab those
on.
and.
7, yes,
Yes.
and get all this.
Straightened out.
Mrs. Reagan.
Okay. All right, technology.
Probably in the next month or so, we'll.
Okay. Parent-teacher advisory.
They haven't met.
Okay.
And I think there's probably not a need yet until we have more information about Senate Bill 100, which is the overhaul of school discipline. So until we see what press is coming up with, I don't know that there's much.
Well, they have some head lice policies and things like that, I think they want the advisory committee to look at.
Oh, well, okay, that's.
Yeah. Maybe once we get to the 700s,
Right.
then we can give it to them if they want a meeting before, it may be about the same time.
Yeah.
We have some webinars that we're attending. We have some actual seminars that we're attending on Senate Bill 100, and one of them's through the Illinois Principals Association. It's a webinar. We're not quite sure, but if usually they put their webinars on an archive and you can go back and look at it later if you've registered.
Right.
Okay, well, we've already registered administrators, so I'm hoping that it's archived, and then that would be probably a good, if it's a good webinar, that would be a good activity for the parent-teacher advisory committee to come in and hear that. Okay, but let us make a determination, and
Right.
because if it's not making any sense, then there's no reason to go into it yet.
Okay, are there any visitors wishing to address the board? Need a motion for executive session?
Take a motion to enter into executive session for semi-annual review of executive session minutes held between July 1st, 2015 and December 31st, 2015. For public disclosure review, executive session minutes from January 12, 2016 regular meeting, and personnel matters and student, can I put student matters or student discipline?
Whatever you want to, that's what
Student
Mr. Aldridge always
matters.
says to you. So I'll say the same thing. So you want,
Personnel matters and student matters on there as well.
okay. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Giddens,
Aye.
Hagel. Aye. Bowregan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Big.
Aye, motion carried. 10-minute break.
Yes. I just
We need a motion to,
resume regular session, make a motion to
Yes.
resume regular session.
Second.
do roll call.
8:10.
no.
Sorry.
Giddens,
Aye.
Hagel.
Aye.
Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Bowregan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding executive session, in executive session, we discussed the personnel issues and the executive session minutes. We need a motion to release executive session minutes.
I make the motion to release executive session minutes dated 7/14, 8/4, 8/25, 8/11, 10/13, and 10/27.
I second.
I thought 10:13 was to be held.
Yeah, never mind, 10/13, not 10/13.
Yeah, it's to be held.
13.
So I have 7/14, 8/4, 8/11, 8/25, and 10/27 to be
Released.
Released.
I second.
You resecond.
Giddens,
Aye.
Kegel. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Bowregan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion to retain the minutes.
I make the motion to retain the minutes dated 6/13, 6/16, 7/28, 8/18, 9/8, 9/22, 10/13, 11/10, and 12/15.
11/10, and what was the last one?
12/15.
Second. Giddens,
Aye.
Kegel. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Bowregan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. We need a motion regarding executive session minutes of a regular meeting.
I'll make the motion to accept the executive session meeting minutes dated January 12, 2016.
Second.
Giddens,
Aye.
Kegel. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Bowregan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. There will be no action taken tonight on F10, on the resignations. Is there anything else? Yes, Mr. Giddens?
We're advertising the vacancy though.
Yes,
Okay.
we can do that. Okay, I make the motion to adjourn.
Second. Giddens,
Aye.
Kegel. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye. Motion carried, meeting adjourned.